You might think that what's keeping you from your goals is a lack of time, motivation, or luck. But what if I told you that the real saboteur is you? Or more specifically, your emotions, controlling you without you even realizing it. Every time you say, just for today, I'll make up for it later, or I'm not in the mood, there's an emotion disguised as an excuse calling the shots. And the worst part? It speaks with your voice, uses your arguments, and convinces you to stop right when you should be pushing forward. Sounds harsh. It's actually freeing, because once you understand this, you stop blaming external factors for your failures and start building your success with your own two hands. It's not about getting rid of emotions. It's about not being a slave to them. What comes next will show you how to develop emotional control, focus, and discipline in a practical, human, and realistic way. And the best part? No magic formulas, no empty motivational talk, and no need to become someone else to succeed. You just need to remember who you are beneath the chaos. And the question that will echo in your mind from start to finish is simple, but powerful. Are you the master of your habits or a slave to your emotions? Because if you still don't know the answer, then it's more than time to find out. You've probably left the gym feeling on top of the world, right? Body tired, but soul light. Your mind screams, I crushed it today. Then the smell of fast food hits, crosses the street like it owns the place, invades your nose without asking. And just like that, your focus slips. Seems like a harmless choice, but it's not. That's when discipline really gets put to the test. Because deep down, what throws you off course isn't a lack of willpower. It's emotional chaos in disguise, whispering, just for today is fine. Ever stop to think how easy it is to confuse physical hunger with emotional hunger? Or how quickly we use exhaustion as an excuse to break the consistency we've been working so hard to build? That turns into a silent, vicious cycle. You give in, feel guilty, try again, get discouraged. The truth is, until you master emotional control, any strong feeling will grab the wheel right out of your hands. And once that happens, say goodbye to focus, discipline, and direction. The good news? You can flip the script. What if I told you that what looks like lack of discipline is actually just you trying to cope with your emotions the only way you've known how? That sudden craving for fast food? It's not just about food. It's about tiredness, anxiety, the need to feel rewarded for something. The difference between those who move forward and those who stall is subtle, but powerful. The ones who move forward have learned to feel without being swallowed whole. You can listen to your emotions, but your focus gets the final say. And there's one skill that changes the entire game. Learning to identify what you're feeling before it pulls you away from what you're trying to build. You know, that mental fog that makes you question everything in a matter of seconds? One day you're motivated, the next you're wondering if it's even worth continuing. That's not bad luck or laziness. It's a lack of emotional awareness. When you don't know how to name what you're feeling, you become vulnerable to whatever shows up. And whether it's sadness, boredom, or anxiety, it all feels like a push to give up. The key is learning to listen to that inner voice and distinguish. Is this instinct seeking comfort or focus asking for strength? Think about it. Instinct screams, eat now, you deserve it, or leave it for tomorrow, you've done enough today. It's seductive. It sounds logical, but it's sabotage dressed up as self-care. The voice of focus is quieter, steadier, more direct. You've come this far, don't throw it away. Or, it's going to hurt a little now, but your future self will thank you. The problem? If you don't have emotional awareness, you'll always listen to the loudest voice. And usually, the one screaming is the unregulated emotion. Ever noticed that? Here's a simple exercise you can start right now. Every time a strong urge hits, pause and ask yourself, what am I really feeling? Give it a name. Boredom? Frustration? Fear? Just by doing that, you begin to reclaim emotional autonomy. It may seem like a small thing, but that's exactly how we break the vicious cycle of running on autopilot. And guess what? When you learn to name the emotion, you create space to deal with it, without being ruled by it. And it's exactly that space we're going to explore next. When an emotion explodes inside you, it's like it puts a megaphone to your reason's ear. Everything gets harder. Thinking clearly, making simple decisions, even remembering why you started in the first place. But listen closely. The problem isn't feeling. Feeling is human. What breaks your focus and discipline is letting the emotion run the show. That's why the secret isn't to shut down what you feel, but to turn down the volume. Once the emotion stops screaming, your mind can finally hear what truly matters again. Picture this. You're about to head out for a run, but the stress from work hits you all at once. Your body's ready, but your mind is on fire. Instead of quitting, try this. Pause for 2 minutes, take a deep breath, step away from the chaos, and negotiate with yourself. I'll just run for 10 minutes. If I want to stop after that, it's okay. Just like that, you reclaim emotional control, break the cycle of procrastination, and give discipline the space that emotion was trying to take over. Some people think you need advanced techniques to handle this stuff, but sometimes all you need is 1 minute of awareness. You can apply this in line at the bank, in the middle of an argument, or when you're about to make an impulsive purchase. Conscious breathing, a quick emotion journal, or even a 5-minute walk can change everything. Because when you learn to lower the intensity of what you're feeling, you create space to hear a voice that's been drowned out, the voice of your focus. And that's the voice that will guide your next decisions. You don't need a daily revolution. Sometimes, the only thing standing between you and your next level is a small, but conscious choice. You know that moment when your impulse screams, go get fast food, and instead, you take a deep breath and choose a light meal at home? It might seem insignificant, but it's not. That choice is an act of emotional autonomy. It's you saying, I'm feeling the urge, but I'm not a slave to it. And believe me, every time you do that, your discipline gets stronger. Let me give you a real example. Someone who used to cope with nighttime stress by eating sweets. Once they became aware of it, they didn't forbid themselves from having treats. They just started choosing when and why. Swapping dessert for a calming tea 3 nights a week became emotional training. They didn't stop feeling stressed, but they started responding to it with more focus and less impulse. That's what separates people on autopilot from those who stay consistent. Small choices equals massive turning points. And here's the most interesting part. When you start making these choices with awareness, something shifts inside. A quiet kind of pride appears. A confidence that once felt out of reach. For the first time, you're not being pushed around by life, you're steering it. And that feeling of clarity, of being in control, becomes fuel for your next decision. But there's one crucial detail most people overlook in this whole process. And that's where we get into what no one tells you about so-called emotional freedom. Some people think freedom means doing whatever you want, whenever you want. But here's the wild part. That kind of freedom is often just emotional chaos dressed up as choice. If you only act based on what you feel in the moment, hunger, anger, loneliness, anxiety, are you really in charge? Or are your emotions dragging you around? Epictetus once said, "No one is free who is not master of themselves." That hasn't changed. Emotional freedom is exactly that. Feeling everything, but being a slave to nothing. Think about it. Have you ever caught yourself saying, "That's just how I am," as if you were doomed to repeat the same patterns forever? That's emotional prison. That's living in reaction mode, not in choice. When your discipline depends on your mood, your surroundings, or other people's approval, you're not in control. You're in survival mode. And the worst part? The more you adapt to the outside world, the further you drift from who you really are. Because when you don't master your emotions, it's easy to lose your direction. Now, imagine living with emotional autonomy. Feeling anger, but not lashing out. Feeling fear, but still moving forward. Wanting to give up, but choosing to keep going anyway. That's real freedom. It's not about living without emotion. It's about knowing what to do with what you feel. And when that clicks, something inside shifts. You stop repeating old patterns and you start questioning them. But to get there, one thing has to come first. And that might just be the key that changes everything. Have you ever asked yourself why you keep repeating certain behaviors, even when you know they're pulling you away from what you truly want? The truth is, a lot of what you do today isn't your choice, it's inheritance. Beliefs that were handed to you long ago. You're lazy, money is hard to earn, no one can stay focused for long. And if you've never stopped to question those voices, they became your truth by default. The problem is, without self-awareness, you become an emotional puppet, acting out stories that were never yours to begin with. But here's the crazy part. The moment you pause to ask where those beliefs came from, the game starts to shift. When someone says, "I've always been like this," the real question is, but who taught you to be this way? Maybe it was a frustrated adult. Maybe it was a toxic environment. Maybe it was your own survival mechanism. Rewriting your story doesn't mean denying what you lived. It means choosing what you want to carry forward. It's swapping "I can't" for "I'm learning." Sounds subtle, but it's absolutely transformational. Try this. Sit in silence for a minute. No phone, no music, no distractions. Now, listen closely to the voice inside your head. Is it really yours? Or is it just echoing what you were once told you were? How many times have you believed something about yourself without ever testing the opposite? How many decisions have you made based on fears that weren't even yours to begin with? And what if, deep down, what you call your way of being is really just a reflection of what you've been told your whole life? Be honest. Do you know yourself? Or have you just gotten used to being who they taught you to be? You're going to fail. Period. You'll fall off track, forget the plan, give in a laziness or impulse every now and then. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. The difference between those who achieve something and those who quit halfway isn't the absence of failure. It's the ability to refocus. True consistency doesn't come from perfect days. It comes from knowing how to get back up on the hard ones. And guess what? That skill can be trained too. People with emotional control understand that slipping up isn't a reason to throw everything away. Missed a workout? It's okay. Overate? It happens. But here's the golden question. What will you do after that? If guilt turns into an excuse, you fall into a vicious cycle of self-sabotage. But if you use the failure as a mirror to understand, learn, and adjust, you come out stronger. That's focus with emotional intelligence. That's emotional maturity in action. A great strategy is to create a return to focus plan before you even fail. What does that mean? For example, if I miss a workout, my reset protocol is a 20-minute walk the next day, even if it's just around the house. If I break my diet, my next meal is light and balanced. That takes the emotional weight off failure and hands your autonomy back to you. Because falling is inevitable, but staying down, that is a choice. So, who do you want to be? Now that you understand what's really behind your struggle to stay focused, tell me, how many more times are you going to let a passing emotion destroy a goal that actually matters to you? How many more vicious cycles will you repeat before truly taking emotional control of your life? Everything you need is already inside you. Discipline doesn't come from brute force. It comes from conscious choice. Consistency doesn't depend on your mood. It depends on your clarity. And focus is the child of self-awareness. So before you go chasing the next miracle technique, look inward. Take the first step. Making mistakes is part of the process, but staying stuck in the same mistake is what keeps you from moving forward. Now tell me, what part of this message hit you the hardest? Which of these truths hurt? And because it hurt, needs to be faced now. Drop a comment below. Tell me what used to hold you back and what you're going to do differently from here on out. And of course, if this content made you reflect, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Because this is just the beginning. We've got a long road ahead, but only if emotional awareness is coming with us.